All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that, let's be honest, probably affects all of us. Overthinking. You know, that feeling when your brain just refuses to switch off. But what if the answer wasn't to try and think less, but to actually think better? Okay, let's get into it.
So, does this sound familiar? You're just trying to get something done, or maybe even just trying to relax, and your mind is just running a marathon all by itself. It gets stuck in this loop, right? Replaying old conversations, spinning out about the future, picking apart every tiny little thing until you just feel completely exhausted.
This is what we can call the overthinking trap. And it's not just one clear thought at a time. Oh no, it's a whole storm of them, all crashing into each other, totally jumbled up. And that internal chaos, it creates this incredible pressure. It's so intense that you can actually feel it in your body, like a headache or just that tension in your shoulders.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. See, the usual advice is always just stop thinking so much. But that's like telling your heart to stop beating. Thinking is what our brains do. We can't just flip an off switch. So here's the big idea. What if the problem isn't that we're thinking too much, but it's what we're actually thinking about?
This is the crucial point. Focused, single-pointed thinking, when it's aimed at a genuine, real-world problem, isn't just okay, it's actually a superpower. The kind of overthinking that tears us down is scattered, it's unfocused, and a lot of the time, it's aimed at problems that, well, they aren't even real. The whole secret is learning how to aim that incredible mental energy.
Let's use an analogy. Imagine you haven't had a single drop of water for 12 hours. You are, by definition, overthinking about water. It's the only thing you can think about. But is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. Your mind becomes a laser, focused on one single vital mission: find water. That kind of thinking doesn't lead to anxiety loops, it leads to action. It leads to a solution.
Okay, so this distinction right here, this is the core idea that can really set you free. We have to get good at separating the two kinds of problems that take up space in our heads, the real ones and the imaginary ones. So on one side, you have real problems. These are the tangible things, right? The fundamental needs or obstacles that are right here, right now. Things like thirst, or hunger, or having a bill that needs to be paid. Then you've got the imaginary problems. These are those vague psychological anxieties like, what if I fail? Or what will they think of me? Or that fuzzy desire to just be successful. So let's dig into what makes a problem real. The key is that it gives your mind a clear target and a finish line. If you need to pay rent, your brain has a specific, solvable mission. It pushes you to take real steps to solve it. Your thinking has a purpose. And here we go. This is the source of all that toxic overthinking. Imaginary problems are like running a race where the finish line keeps moving. Why? Because you never clearly defined where it was in the first place. Wanting to be rich without saying exactly what that means, it ensures you'll never feel like you've arrived. That is the endless, exhausting loop. So, if the diagnosis is a mind that's stuck spinning on imaginary problems, the cure is to give it a real job, a real mission. This is all about consciously deciding what actually matters. So here's a super practical 4-step plan. First, you identify a genuine, fundamental problem or a big need in your life. Second, you define a really clear, concrete, measurable goal to solve it. Third, you aim all that mental energy, all that overthinking at that one single goal. And finally, you act. You keep acting until it's done. It's amazing. The focused thinking actually frees you from the trap of thinking. This is so important. When you actually know your real priorities, your real problems and goals, making decisions becomes simple. You know what to say a hard yes to, and you know what to say a firm no to. It's all that indecision, that should I, shouldn't I limbo, that gives overthinking its fuel. Clarity just cuts the fuel line.
You know, there's this great concept called retired mind syndrome, and it has nothing to do with being retired from a job. If your mind doesn't have a big, meaningful purpose, a big, real problem it's working on, it will fill that vacuum. It'll get hijacked by gossip, by tiny little worries, by anxieties about what other people are thinking, 1,000 little imaginary problems that just eat up your energy.
So we've talked about how to direct our thoughts, but what if there's a way to get a break from them entirely? This brings us to one last, really deep insight, the idea that there's a state of being that exists beyond all that mental noise. This leads us to the number 4. Why 4? Because the idea is that there are 4 fundamental states of consciousness. Now, most of us think we spend our whole day in the waking state, but what if there's more to it? We're about to look at a 4th state, one that might just hold the key to real mental peace. We all know about dreaming and deep sleep, right? But now, let's look closer at our so-called waking state. The argument is that, for a lot of us, most of the time, we're not truly awake. We're in another kind of dream, one that's just completely filtered through our thoughts, our worries, our opinions. We aren't experiencing reality as it is, we're experiencing our thoughts about reality. The goal is to touch that fourth state, pure awareness, just being, no filter.
The power of this fourth state is just profound. Getting a taste of it, maybe through meditation or mindfulness, or even just being completely lost in a moment, is like formatting your brain's hard drive. It clears out all the clutter, all the junk files, all the background noise of overthinking. It restores your mind to this fresh, clear, high-performance state, even if it's just for a few moments a day.
So we'll end by bringing it all back to you, right now. Instead of getting lost in that storm of 1,000 imaginary worries, what is the one, single, real problem that you can point your incredible mind at and start solving today? Finding the answer to that question, that's the whole key. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.